Welcome back to another edition of the Throws Doc Podcast. I'm your doc, Dr. Charles Inferno. We're writing scripts to cure your throwing ailments, and we're recording here on Monday, let's see here, June 26th. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. So we're on our way to school as per usual. And a little, I don't know if bittersweet's the right word for this week. Wrapping up my position at one school, and beginning July 3rd, transitioning to another school. And the reason why I say that is kind of bittersweet is because I was reading a little bit, and if you saw, let's get everything situated here. I was reading Michael Johnson's, autobiography leading up to the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. And I'll find a relationship here in a second. And early on in his book, he talks about the trials and tribulations he went through to get to that point in his career of being a double gold medalist at the Atlanta Olympic Games and winning the 200 and the 400 and being the first athlete to ever do that. And there's a paragraph early on where he's kind of covering his background, where he talks about as a high school athlete, one of the best high school 200-meter runners in the state of Texas. And he was running around 21 seconds. And from that point in high school to basically the Olympic Games, where he ran 1932, it took him 10 years to drop a second and a half in his 200-meter race. And he also elaborates, and I'll share some of the screenshots today. But he shares and he elaborates on, the ambitions turning into goals, and the goals turning into action plans. And I can only imagine what those action plans might have looked like for someone who was trying to essentially drop a second and become a world-class sprinter. And the reason why I share that and how long it takes maybe for someone to accomplish their goal, I don't know how much of this is actually going to make air, if you will, as a podcast episode, but we'll give it a shot and we'll see. When I graduated from Fredonia in 2009, my admin degree, it was December of 2009, fall of 2009, I thought that it would be so easy to secure like a school building leader administrative position. Like that was my goal. I had it written down since I graduated with my undergrad in 2004. Kind of like my bucket list of professional goals, right? Things that I wanted to be able to do because of all of the work that I put in leading up to at least getting the degree, right? And then convincing somebody or a group of somebodies on the other side of the table is a totally different story. But so in 2009, I graduated, and from the time that I graduated up until this past year, 22-23, I probably applied to at least 100, 150 admin jobs. Definitely more than 100. And the reason why I know that is there was a point when my wife and I, we were living in Fredonia, and I was laid off from work, that I had to go to the works department in Dunkirk and show proof and evidence that I was seeking employment in the field of education. So every month when I met with my caseworker, Dylan, he was a great guy, I'd bring him all the receipts from SUNY Fredonia. And I remember in March and April of 11, March and April of 11, I brought him 20 receipts for March and then 24 for April. So I was well on pace. And to do that back then, you needed to contact SUNY Fredonia. They sent out this credentials file for you, which is basically a portfolio of of like your best stuff, your transcripts, things that 99.9% of schools now probably don't even look at. But anyway, so I did that. That was $5 a pop back then. Being unemployed was it was tough. It was probably, at least for me, being newly married and being on unemployment. Fortunately, our house mortgage was low. My Jeep was paid off, and yeah. But so the reason why I'm sharing all of this is, and with reading Michael Johnson's book yesterday, basically, that if you work hard enough at something, if you persist and you persevere and you stick to whatever goals you have, that I think sooner or later an opportunity is going to arise where you just need to take advantage of that opportunity. And for me, it was bouncing around a lot from 2010 until, really this before starting at the school that I'm at right now, of trying things, and Head Start, center director, and education, and disabilities, and doing all these different things that ultimately now led me to the point where I am, where starting in July, I'll have the title of building principal, elementary building principal, and it's just still sounds so surreal to me, because 10 years ago it was like I could not see it, like the dejection and just the not having opportunities just weren't there. What my credentials were not good enough for those that were looking. And I kept trying and kept trying and kept trying. And once I settled in at the U of R, it made it easier to kind of figure out and learn more about the nuances and the day-to-day of early childhood programming from the side of administration, but also providing the data analytical supports that teachers needed, essentially professional learning opportunities, to hone their craft and provide higher quality classroom experiences for their kids. Couple all of that with a couple of research papers, and somebody finally gave me the opportunity. And even before taking that call last summer, actually around July-ish, it's still just such a surreal experience, because my wife and I, we never thought, the way things were going, that we would actually ever get there. And I don't know, it just kind of, for athletes, and just kind of tie it in with track, right? So, or I guess any sport really. For athletes that think that they have this clock or this like finite amount of time, depending on what your expectations are, you really don't. Collegiate athlete, you have maybe 5 years. If you do a GA, red shirt, like you kind of figure it out a little bit, maybe 6 years, depending on your unique situation. But you can accomplish a lot in 6 years if you have the right ambition and you take advantage of opportunities and you pursue those opportunities. And I think, and it was difficult for me in 11. We were newly married, and my wife's going to school, and I'm sitting at home applying for jobs online and contacting SUNY Fredonia really every, I don't know, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, filling out these applications and trying to, get a job. we were applying all over the place. This was not just a New York thing. And I don't know, I guess at the time it was still difficult to secure teaching positions, admin positions, and I was looking for admin too, anything we could get our hands on, or teaching rather, and it just wasn't really coming to fruition. So I don't think my story is so much more unique than anybody else's who's had that difficult time in their life. But the more that I've been writing the book, the more I sit back and think about, like, if we would have stopped, or if I would have like changed careers, or if I would have just become disengaged with the situation in education, we wouldn't be having this conversation here. I probably never would have got into coaching. Well, I probably still would have got into coaching at Fredonia, but I mean, I wouldn't have pursued anything in ads. I would have gone in a different direction. I certainly wouldn't have ended up at Alfred State, and I don't think I'd have the admin position that I'm going to be starting next week without that just perseverance. I don't know, I guess my grandparents would probably call it stubbornness more than anything, of unrelenting pursuit, to give up. And during those difficult times, it was difficult to keep moving forward, but just thinking that, my parents, at least my mom, and my dad too, both, they came over to the United States with nothing. The 3 suitcases that my mom's family came over with are sitting in my house as a reminder of sacrifices that people are willing to make to better their lives. And I think if you really do keep pursuing, and you have goals, and you have things laid out, and you kind of have a plan, and you feel comfortable sharing your plan with somebody, that it's gonna work out. You're gonna get there. It might take a while. It might not be essentially your dream job right off the bat, or it might be, you never know, right? Depending on what profession or what career you want to get into. But guys, when we were living in our apartment, just looking at those suitcases in the house, like, it was made for some difficult times, looking at them all the time.